Yo, this is Brendon from Millie, and this is Couch Riffs.
Perfect.
Nice.
Like a salty pro. Hello. It's your pal Mike Squires, and this is the Couch Riffs Podcast, episode number 291. 291. And my guest this episode is Brendon Dyer, the front person for Millie. Brendon is a Los Angeles transplant by way of Connecticut and Philly and New York. And I think, he's lived a bunch of places, finally landing in LA and seemingly doing just fine for himself now that he's gotten out there. He's got an interesting musical history. Millie is a band that I really enjoy. They sound shoegazy and heavy and melodic and, like the old people told me in the 90s, hey, that reminds me of the music I listened to when I was your age. And it's cool music. I really enjoy it. For my friends in Seattle, Millie will be coming back through town on December 3rd, playing at Madame Lou's, which I just heard is going to close down at the end of the year. So, a great opportunity to see the band and to get yourself into Madame Lou's and help celebrate that place while it still is happening. I really like that room, so get down there and support Millie. They have dates up and down the West Coast around that trip to Seattle as well. The band was on tour with Militarie Gun at the time of the recording of this podcast. They must be home by now, because it's been a couple weeks. So, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. I had a great time talking with Brendon. If you are enjoying the Couch Riffs podcast, as always, I warmly invite you to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Couch Riffs. This place comes together because of Patreon. I get to, live indoors because of Patreon. I can't speak more to the importance of it. So for folks who are already supporting me there, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. For folks who are considering it, now's the time. Thank you so much. Let's see, what else? That's it. As always, don't forget the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's not that hard. It's really easy to be kind or to consider multiple perspectives. And right now, more than ever, I feel like the world could use that. So consider that next time you find yourself getting upset with someone else. Don't be a dick. Brendon, welcome to the Couch Riffs podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You are on tour right now. You guys are playing Tacoma tonight?
Yeah, at Real Art.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Great.
Have you been there?
I don't know it.
Okay.
I don't know that many venues in Portland, to be honest. I know the Airport Tavern, though I've never actually been there. It was started by some folks who've been doing it for a lot of years. So.
Okay.
How's it been?
So far, it's been interesting. Yeah, like I was telling you before, we've been kind of hitting these more like B cities, I guess. So like the tour started in Oxnard instead of LA. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like Oxnard kind of has this, they call it Nardcore. Are you familiar with that?
I don't know what this is.
It's kind of like their own take on hardcore, I think. And we're not a hardcore band, but the band who we're out on the road with, they have like a lot of ties to hardcore. I think like the singer in the band like started, with a hardcore band before starting the band he's in now, which is Militarie Gun. So I think like they kind of do this thing where there's just crossover there, I guess. Sure. So anyway, yeah, Oxnard kind of has like its own like thing. So
Nardcore is funny to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting name, but yeah, it's pretty like die hard there in like a niche way. I guess there's some band called like Dr. No that Yarden, who plays bass in Millie, was telling me about, but I think that they're kind of like, I don't know, I could be wrong. I think that they started that or something like a long time ago. But anyway, all this to say, yeah, the first show was in Oxnard. I think it was kind of to just like tap in with like a different kind of scene of people. So, and we're not a hardcore band. I think, you know, we have some heavy riffs, or like we can, you know, bring it, but like it's definitely like interesting playing to people that are more into hardcore music and trying to like win them over every night.
That's a great challenge, and that's a thing that will make or break your band.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely. It's funny because like we've done this sort of thing before. Like last year we went out on the road with this band called Fiddlehead, which are also like, they come from hardcore, but this band that they're doing, while it's like hardcore influence, it's like more melodic, the same way that Militarie Gun, who we're out with now, is. So it's like our bands could exist together and there's a lot of like crossover. So it's not totally like jarring for like an audience member to see us like opening for them. But at the same time, it's like there are some like evident like differences, especially because like I'm not like screaming or anything like that up there.
I have a very skewed idea of what hardcore is because I'm old.
It's also a umbrella term, I feel like, at this point, right? I mean, what is it?
What was hardcore in the 90s was not hardcore in the 80s. And each decade since then, it just changes more and more.
Yeah, I don't even think I know what 90s hardcore would be. Like, when I think of hardcore, I just think of like Black Flag or like Minor Threat, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That, to me, is hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you know.
Yeah.
And so when I hear what is, you know, but again, that's a symptom of my oldness.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm fine with that. Okay. Speaking of my oldness, let's talk about you. Where are you from?
So I was born and raised in Connecticut.
Where at?
Small town. Well, it's technically a city. It's called Bristol. Mm-hmm. So have you heard of it?
I believe I've been through.
If you've played a show in New York and then played a show in Boston the next day, you may have gone through if you took the 84.
Right.
Which, yeah, runs
I've
through.
driven from New York to Boston many times.
Okay.
Playing shows or working. I lived in New York for a while.
Okay, then yeah, you might have just passed by, but I guess like our big claim to fame is like ESPN is located there, which is kind of random. I've never like looked into why it's there, but yeah.
Just where it started.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up there, and when I was 19, I moved out and I moved to Philly, and I was there for like 6 months, and I gave that a try, mostly because at the time I was, you know, pursuing like a different band than this current one. And, you know, we kind of grew up like booking our own tours and like meeting bands that were kind of doing similar things as us. And a lot of the bands we were friends with just lived in Philly. So it kind of seemed like a cheap, like cool place to be. Because as you can imagine, like Connecticut, it was a nice place to grow up, but like doing anything like creative there, like, you know, it's hard. You just gotta you have to be in like a major city, you know.
Let me ask you this. Now that you have left the East Coast, though, because you live in LA, is that right?
Yeah.
There has to be some element of how close all the cities together are on the East Coast that you miss.
Absolutely. Especially from the touring perspective, because,
Yeah.
like, you know, we just played in San Francisco, and like, what is it, 6 hours from LA or whatever. In that amount of time, you could hit up so many cities on the East Coast if you're on tour.
In that amount of time, you could drive from New York through New Jersey, through Delaware into Maryland.
Yeah.
And cross through Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Or
like you go through 5 states.
Exactly. Yeah. So anytime we're over there, it's like definitely like a funny reminder, especially when your dates in a row are just like Philly, New York, Boston. You're like, this is a cakewalk. Like, it's so much easier. Out here, it's like San Diego, San Francisco, or Phoenix are really kind of like the major places to go. And San Diego is just a trip because it's like, mileage wise, it's not that far, but it always ends up taking like 4 hours just because of traffic and stuff. So yeah.
Even with the pay road.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when the pay road was brand new. Who were the bands that you knew in Philly?
There was 2 bands that were like instrumental in my, I guess, moving there. The first one was this band called Joy Again, who my old band, it was called Furnsss. Like we did a couple tours together, and yeah, I think at a certain point we just like, kind of goes to show that the times, but we like met on like Facebook.
Right.
And like it was kind of one of those things where like seeing what they were doing, both like between, you know, the records that they were recording themselves and like putting out on Bandcamp and stuff, and then also just like the shows that they were playing, it just kind of like aligned with like where we wanted to be. And I think there was like a mutual respect thing. And then there was another band called Blue Smiley that were Philly based, but the singer was from not too far where I'm from in Connecticut, and he actually was the one that got me to move to Philly, because he was living in like, you know, a giant house, and like a room opened. And it's so funny, even thinking back then, I was splitting a room with my best friend at the time. Like we just put like, you know, 2 twin beds in there, and I think I was paying like $230 a month, or maybe $200 a month, something like that, for rent, which is just absolutely insane. Because I remember at the time, like, this just goes to show you how like maybe sheltered I was, or just whatever, like growing up in Connecticut. Like it was like hard. I was so financially irresponsible. It was like hard for me to like come up with the cash every month, because like I had a job that I would work like 1 or 2 days a week, and then I'd just like fuck off and do whatever else, you know.
Well, imagine that the whole room was $460 a month.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. That's chump change. That's so easy.
That's 1993 prices, like when I moved to Seattle. That's what I paid.
And I think that speaks to why like people are still there making, like, I don't know, they still highlight Philly as one of the like music cities right now, with like a lot of bands having success there. Like I think like a lot of kids are like still moving there with this hope of like hitting it big and doing music. And I think a lot of it is because it's still like cheap. Must be.
It's the
maybe
new Portland.
Not that cheap.
Like that was what Portland was in the early 2000s, you know?
Yeah, we were just there last night, like coming up, and I don't think it's probably not cheap there anymore.
It's not that anymore. It just isn't, man.
Yeah.
So you lasted 6 months, you say?
Yeah, which is like honestly kind of comical in hindsight. But I was just like I don't know. Yeah, like I guess I was like saying, I definitely just, I was like a late bloomer, I think, like with maybe like maturity or something. Like I feel like, because after Philly for 6 months, I moved back in with my parents, which is just like, you know, the worst thing. Like, I love my parents, but like I feel like once you leave, you never want to go back because you made it. You know what I mean? And I think
tail between your legs, right?
Exactly, yeah. But shortly thereafter, I actually ended up moving to Brooklyn. So I was like, because like I was saying, if you're in Connecticut, you're like, I gotta go to like a major city, and like Boston was definitely not where I wanted to be. Although
it sucks.
I'm like a diehard Red Sox fan, but I hate going to Boston.
Right.
Like, I really don't like it there. And we play shows there still, every other tour or whatever, and it's just never good. It really bums me out going there. So New York was like way more like a logical choice, I feel like.
And also totally cheap.
Mm.
Would you share a studio apartment with your whole band? And
Yeah.
It was like $4,000, right?
I got lucky, kind of like the Philly scenario, where I moved into like an apartment that had like a lot of people living in it. So, but rent was definitely not $400 there. I think it had to be $1,000 for the room I was paying for, or like something like that. Which still, like, now I'm like, oh, that was kind of cheap.
Where were you?
I was in Bushwick, which, for what it's worth, if we're on the L train, I was right before Broadway Junction. Like, I was kind of like deeper on there. Like, I wasn't off like, more of the stops closer to
You were
like
by Roberta's or something.
Yeah, but it was fun there. But again, I feel like I only lasted 10 months there.
Right.
Like, the speed of the city was like, it's a cliche, but it really just was like a hard place for me to adapt to.
It is a pretty hostile environment. And you have to be ready for it if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I got chased by these guys one time when I was coming home from work. Like,
Right.
I was on my bike and they ran after me with one of them had a bat, like a wooden bat.
Sure.
And I just think it was like wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. Like,
Right.
But I didn't get, they only chased me for like a block and then I was chill. But like, that alone, like, fucked with me, honestly. It was between that and I had a roommate who got like attacked waiting for the train by someone, and I was like, I'm too soft for this.
When were you there?
That was 2017, so I was 21.
Right.
And I think that too, like, again, kind of just like playing into like, I don't know. It was the cliche, like, putting
where did you work at when you were there?
Whole Foods.
Which one?
The one in like Williamsburg off like Bedford Ave.
What department were you in?
I was a grocery associate or whatever. So I was
What does that mean?
Stocking all the shelves. Oh, yeah.
We might have shared an aisle.
Yeah. You would go to that one?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Where were you living in New York?
I lived in South Williamsburg, like South 5th.
Okay.
And Hooper.
Yeah.
And then after that, I lived in Carroll Gardens.
I'm not even sure I know where that is.
Carroll Gardens is like G train.
Okay.
And is it G? Yeah, it's on the G. That would take me up into Williamsburg.
Okay.
Or there was what is it? The C would get me over into the city.
Okay.
Yeah. A-C? Anyway, it was great over there, but also kind of dead. I also didn't really love living there. I tried really hard to love it.
Yeah.
But it's hard. And playing shows is fucking hard.
Yeah.
There, it's hard everywhere, but there it's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things about it that people claim are convenient about living there, but like the show thing is so inconvenient always because, like, if I'm being real, I don't want to like have to use, the backlined twin reverb at the venue.
Right.
But like, what choice do I have? I'm not gonna like cart my amp on the train.
Right.
So, and that's like a compromise right there already.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that there are lessons to be learned in any one of those things where you're doing something less than what you want.
Yeah.
I maintain that New York is one of the greatest cities on earth.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't love living there. I like visiting.
Same. Playing a show there when you're on tour and you have all your stuff, awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Parking fucking sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Parking the van with a trailer.
Yeah.
Super bunk. Super bunk.
Unless they got you with the cones out front of the venue.
How many places do that, though? Not many.
That's true.
Yeah.
But when they do, yeah.
Did you have a band when you were there?
Yeah, it was called Furnsss.
It was the same band.
Yeah, same band. And like, I think that was like a band I had started with like my brother and then these two other brothers. Like, we grew up together, and it was one of those things where, you know, I wrote my first song in that band kind of thing. But, you know, you reach a certain point where your mindset kind of shifts from like the naiveness of being like, I'll never play in another band, like this is it, to like, this isn't really happening. Like, maybe I should like pull back and reevaluate and like try something new, like coming around on that. So yeah.
Your brother is not in Millie, right?
No. We all kind of he lives in like Colorado, and and the other guys, they're still in Connecticut. And the thing with my old band is when it was coming to the end of it, it went through so many lineup changes. It was one of those situations where I think I ended up being the only constant, because it was, you know, just, I think when you try to make something work, I'm sure you've seen this 1,000 times. Like,
because I'm old.
Yes. Exactly. No, but you know, when you try to make something work and then like reality kicks in, and it's like, some people want to go to college, some people don't want to go on tour. Like, you just kind of start filling in the gaps. But then after a while, you're like, dude, like, if there were a Wikipedia page for this band and it listed all the past members, it's almost like embarrassing. Like, there's so many people. It's time to kind of like throw in the towel and like try something else. Maybe that's kind of what it felt like, you know?
Right. So let's talk about Furnsss for just a minute. Okay. You start Furnsss with your brother and these two other brothers in the town of Bristol.
Yeah.
What instrument was your brother playing?
He was also we were both guitar players.
Okay, so the rhythm section brothers and the guitar brothers. It was
funny enough.
It was like Pantera meets Oasis.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. Okay.
The Replacements.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. How old were you when you started that?
Somewhere around like 14 or something like that. And it was one of those funny stories where like the drummer, he was the youngest, so he's 12 and we were playing shows, and he's a good ass drummer for a 12-year-old. So.
And what were you guys are playing? It's rock music?
Yeah, rock music. And like it was cool because at the same time we kind of started to write songs. The two other brothers, Nathan and Parker, the rhythm section, they I don't exactly remember where they got the idea to do this, but they both kind of got an interest in like audio recordings. So they got like an interface and a set of microphones, and out there we both had basements at our parents' houses, so we just kind of like, more theirs than ours, but we kind of like decked them out with like, drum kit and everything, and like we're able to learn to record. We recorded all of our own music and kind of just like didn't go to school for it or anything, just kind of just learned how to do it using our ears, like the old school way,
Right.
It's just pretty cool. Yeah.
And so, did you guys released music, or were putting it up on Bandcamp, or
Yeah,
this is post Face, not whatever the other one was, MySpace?
Yeah, we just missed MySpace, I think. So it was the time where you'd play a show and you'd ask people to like your band on Facebook, like, which is so funny.
I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
You know?
Because now we got evil Instagram.
Well, in 5 or 10 years, if we're all still alive, we'll look back and we'll go, man, that was cringy. What the hell were we thinking?
Yeah.
But you guys are doing it. You guys are asking people like, hey, if you're into this, please support us over here.
Yeah. But, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, like the recordings are still, we have them on streaming and stuff. It's like,
great.
It's like funny. It's nostalgic, We've like talked about getting back together and like playing like 1 or 2 shows, but never been the right time, I guess.
When you listen to it, how do you feel compared to where you're at now musically?
There's a amount of pride, like it's a nice like what do you call it? Like a window into like my youth or something. Obviously, it sounds like someone who's like learning how to write songs more than like finding who they are already as like a songwriter, and like some of the lyrics are kind of like cringy, but instrumentally there's some good moments. I'm definitely like overall proud of it, but yeah, it was just like we would take any show we could get because we were in Connecticut.
In fucking junior high school.
Yeah, we would play at like I can't remember what it would kind of be like. You play on a farm, like outside, and people are just all sitting at tables, like having a beer or like eating like pizza. You know what I mean? We'd just be kind of like tucked to the side, and it would feel like the biggest day of your life, almost like.
I lived in the Hudson Valley after I left Brooklyn, and so the vibe in that whole Greenway, which is people on the West Coast don't imagine anything on the East Coast being green, but that part of the country is particularly lush.
Yeah, definitely.
There are a lot of places like what you're talking about, like weird farm stands, like where you're driving down some road just off the highway, country road, and there's like some fucking barn, and it's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's happening.
That's kind of just like, yeah, you just kind of have to take what you could get. Like that would be like a highlight for us, getting to play something like that. And, we don't have merch. Like we're not, like people are not even like really tuned in that much, but just getting to like play, it was like between that and, the classic, like we'd play their like high school thing every year, like stuff like that. But I think it started to transition from being like, I guess, this sort of cringe, like adolescent, innocent thing into like something that at least I was like, oh, I want to take this more seriously, was when we started to play house shows. And I think like once we started to play house shows, I started to see bands that were local that I was like, oh, like they're actually like really good musicians, and they're like influenced by these bands that I've never heard of before. And that like really left like a huge like impression on me.
I think the more you play, especially if your head's in the, if you're playing over in the corner of the happening barn and no one cares, and you have a bad attitude about it, then it's not doing you any good. But if you've got the right attitude about, you could fucking set up here and just play for me, and if you have the right attitude, it is a positive thing.
Yeah.
And it's, especially when you're a kid, when you're young, right? The more you play, the better, knock on wood, the better your band is. So you start playing with these other bands. You start seeing like, oh, the bar's being set a bit higher for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like there's a label out of Connecticut that it wasn't like a big label or anything, but they would do like cassette and CDs for like local bands, like that ended up like signing us at a certain point, which meant they would put out some cassettes for us. And kind of, they didn't have like many resources, but they would get us like on some shows or whatever. So like at a certain point it started to kind of move along in a way where I was like, oh, I feel like people are like tuned in, like at least around us. But yeah, I'd say like around like 2014 when the band was like, finally finding its footing. That was when uh, we were like, we should go on tour. And then in those days, we didn't have a booking agent, so it was just kind of my responsibility to find out, to get us booked tours. And we would just, it'd be a thing where you go on Facebook and you make a status update and you're like, hey, like we're trying to go on tour. Like, does anyone know anyone who books shows in Philly or, so on and so forth, kind of grassroots in a way. And that's how it's just like, it's an echo of probably what the scene was like in like the 90s or like the 2000s, just like a different way of it occurring.
Right. You'd get Book Your Own Fucking Life and there'd be a list of phone numbers in there and you'd just call people.
Yeah.
Instead, you're just messaging them.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and then throughout the course of that band, it was just like, in hindsight, I'm pretty proud of it. Like I booked our own full US tour one time, because before that we would just do like 10-day tours around like the East Coast and whatever. But I was lucky enough to book a full US tour with this other band that we were friends with. We just kind of like, me and the singer in that band, we just kind of like spent like 5 months just like tackling it. We had a spreadsheet. We're like trying to get this tour booked, and we ended up getting a whole tour booked. And of course you end up, some places were TBAs or like TBDs until we like showed up and they're like, you're not playing, like, or there's no show, or couldn't get it. But most of it did pull through, and of all places, we managed to get a show in LA, and I'd never been to LA. So I remember getting back from that tour and being like, oh, like LA's really cool. Like I really like the West Coast. Like there's such a different energy. And we played in Bellingham too, actually. And I remember that show in particular being like a lot of fun. But funny of almost full circle is we played in Tacoma at the place we're playing tonight, which is really weird.
On your first national tour?
Yeah, like first time. That was like, I think the first Washington date too was there. So it's really strangely full circle to go back there tonight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your impression of LA when you first got there?
Well, you know how it goes. You're in a city for 12 hours.
Right.
So
your impression is the neighborhood.
Yeah, kind of where the show exists and then where you stay.
And where was the show?
The show was at a place that's actually still open called the Virgil, which I have not been to or seen a show at since. So I feel like in hindsight, maybe it was a bit random that we played there. But it's like kind of East Hollywood, Silver Lakey, like that area. So not
pretty great part of town to visit.
And definitely like a place that I find myself frequenting now as someone who lives there more or less. So I remember driving, we were taking the 5 south because we'd been in San Francisco the day before. And I remember like getting into LA. I think it's like what my core memory is going on the 101 south and going kind of near where like the Hollywood Bowl is and all of that stuff.
So
and then
cool.
you come in and you just, it's so cliche, but you see like Capitol Records and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, like we made it. Like we're really here right now. It's crazy.
I still, every time I drive past that stuff, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And that is a dying industry.
Yeah.
I'm still like, oh.
I'm totally with you on that. Like, I've lived in LA for like 7 years, but I still get I'm still living there intentionally, like I'm a tourist in the way that I'm like there's more stuff I still have to like experience. Like
right.
I just went to is it Musso and Frank's, you know that place?
I don't know.
Okay.
What is this?
It's just like an old Hollywood, like I think like Sinatra would eat there. It's just like a kind of classic food spot. God, people are gonna be pissed if it's Frank and Musso's, but I think it's Musso and Frank's. That sounds right. But anyway, or I just went to the Hollywood Bowl for the first time. I saw Neil Young play there, and that was like such a sacred experience because I've always wanted to go to the Bowl, and it's never been like the right show or whatever. I almost went to go see like I think the Philharmonic was doing like Looney Tunes music, and that was almost what got me there, but I was like, nah. And then I saw Neil Young was playing there, and I was like, okay, I've never seen Neil Young, and he's only got so much time left, and he's totally a hero of mine. And I was like, this is the perfect show to go to, and it did not disappoint.
I saw them here.
On this same run?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
With the Chrome Hearts.
Yes, yeah.
What a fucking band.
Yeah.
And what a set list.
Yeah.
I've heard, it was also my first time seeing them.
Oh, no shit.
And and I've been a fan my whole life.
Right.
And yeah, such a fan. And that show galvanized my eternal fandom.
Same here. Yeah, I feel like it's cool. Like his band brought it. Like they're incredible musicians, and it's refreshing probably for him to not that like I know he's always gonna love like the Crazy Horse guys or whatever, but it's probably such a different energy being around these like younger guys that clearly like love the music that he makes and are so excited to get to like play it.
Except for that piano player.
Oh yeah.
Who's like 1,000,000 years old. Yes. And it's like, I looked him up because I was like, who is this dude? And he's a dude that was in the Muscle Shoals house band, and he's on all these classic recordings, and he's like in the Hall of Fame.
That's that studio, right? In like Alabama, yeah.
Tons of.
I recently found out about that place. I had no idea for some reason.
Did you watch there's a documentary called Muscle Shoals?
No, I've been meaning to.
You should watch it.
I have my old roommate, one of my friends, he has family in Alabama, and he told me he like took a day trip just to go see the studio because like a lot of his like favorite records were done there, and then it kind of spiraled out. I know like the Stones would like record there.
Shit.
Yeah.
Loads, yeah. How is Millie born out of Furnsss?
That's a great question. So Furnsss ended up we ended up calling it at a certain point. We were actually on a tour, and it's kind of like your classic story. Like we all just kind of got in a fight like on tour, and it really ended kind of like dramatically, but in hindsight, kind of, like classic. Like it's a great part of like the tale of like being a musician.
Did anyone fly? Did anyone get out of the van and not get back in?
Yeah, yours truly.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah, I flew home.
You flew home.
Yeah, it was like that, and I think that they might have played a couple of the shows like on the way back, and just like sang my songs. And it's all good now. Like, some of them live in New York, some of them, I think a few might live out here, or maybe they moved back to New York, but
yeah,
we'll like link up and kind of like laugh about it now, because everything kind of happens for a reason. Sure. I actually don't think I would have moved to LA had that band not broke up, because the band broke up, and again, it was one of those things. I went back to mom and dad with like my tail between my legs, and I was like, I don't know what the next step is. Like, I got to figure it out. So I moved back in with my parents. I was like, I was still 21, almost 22. And at first I was like, I need a break from music. Like, I just felt so burnt out from it.
Right.
But that like quickly changed. And
Did your brother live at home?
no, he would have been in Colorado. So
Okay.
yeah, I was kind of like, I did what I did best when I was younger. Like, same thing with Furnsss. Like, I just went on Craigslist and I bought a cheap Tama drum kit and set it up in the basement and like got a couple microphones. And after 2 weeks of not wanting to think about music, I was like, I'm gonna like write some songs. Like, why
Sure.
not? So I started to write these songs. Um, and I knew it was going to be like a new project because I was like, clearly the other band was over, but I suddenly just felt like such a strong like shift in like what I was trying to like accomplish, at least in terms of like sonically. What was inspiring me was a lot different than like Furnsss stuff. So I just started to write these songs at home and make these like pretty like primitive like shitty laptop recordings. Like, I'm no engineer or anything like that,
Sure.
but it was good enough to, you know, get some songs down. And I did that for a few months. And then eventually I took a trip out to LA and I just canceled my return. Like, I was like, if I can find a job in a sublease, I'll stay here. And I was able to find those things like magic. Like, it was so simple, especially that because jobs are hard to get. But
I'm not a big hippie, but
yeah,
I believe if the world opens up to you, walk through the door.
yeah, that's straight up what it felt like. Because I was really hung up on the fact that this band that I put all this like, you know, effort into for so long, like, broke up and didn't have its moment. But I slowly started to be okay with that as things started to fall into place more. And I kind of quickly realized like California was like my new, like, my new lease on life or something.
Let's talk about your favorite and least favorite things about California and Los Angeles.
Okay.
Because
Um,
it comes with some baggage, kind of
yeah.
like New York, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay. Well, the food there is amazing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of great food, like In and Out and Zanku chicken. That's some good food right
There's
there.
tacos
The
everywhere.
best taco trucks I've ever had in my life, and convinced I will ever have. Like, yeah, the Mexican food there is incredible. And like I said, I grew up in Connecticut. Like, there's not good food in Connecticut except for pizza.
Right.
But anyway, yeah,
You're
LA,
close to lobster rolls if you want to spend
love lobster rolls.
fucking
Yeah,
$30 on a
exactly.
sandwich.
Um, I really want to give you a good answer on what I don't like about there, but there's not much I can say. I can hit the cliche that the traffic can really be bad sometimes.
Right.
Um, and like, I miss like rain and things like that, but like, I love especially I live in Los Feliz, like right next to like Griffith Park and stuff, and like,
That's not bad.
it's not bad. Yeah.
That's a good life.
I love the culture of LA. Like, the history there is like strong with like music and movies and TV. And I don't know, I just feel like it's always a beautiful day when you wake up in LA. That's really how I feel, honestly.
Were there any smelling salt moments for you when you got there? You had visited, you were
Yeah.
there for 12 hours and you came back, you're like, I'm going to just see if I can get a job
Mm-hmm.
and a sublet. How long were you in a sublet, and how long before you started playing music with people?
Yeah, so I was subleasing first at a spot in East Hollywood, and that was definitely like one of those moments where like I just took what I could get, and it was a really strange setup. Like it was this Australian lady, it was like her spot, but she had a roommate. This is so weird. She had this guy who would also pay rent on the spot, but he lived in the valley, like with his family. But on the weekends, he would sleep on the couch, and he paid rent to sleep on this couch because he was a self proclaimed goth, and he would go like clubbing on the weekend. And so I never met him. I just would see little traces that he would come in and out. So
Like, how deep in the valley did he live that he couldn't go home?
I don't know. I know it's really peculiar. Like I was like, I guess he likes to get like fucked up and doesn't want to drive or pay for like a $30 Uber. Yeah, it's really strange. That was at least the story
Right.
that I was told. But I know there were like, it's typical. You get there, there's like, it's like a dirty spot. And
Yeah.
like, you kind of are like, okay, I guess I signed up for this. But yeah, and then after that, I subleased in Echo Park for like 2 months. And
Well, I do
that was,
like Echo Park.
it was a bit better of an experience than the first spot. But yeah, I kind of ended up settling in Hollywood thereafter, kind of central, closer to Los Feliz, but not quite. And that was cool overall. And it was kind of like around that time. With Millie, I decided to record 2 songs with a local engineer that I met through some friends. Just like this dude Phil, he's like a couple years older than me, but the first 2 songs I ended up putting out myself, and I just had him record me. I just played all the instruments on them, and then had a friend in Colorado like mix it for me. And this guy Corey, he ended up going on to produce like our first like EP and LP thereafter. But yeah, it was kind of like that. I put music out, and my mentality the whole time was so different than Furnsss, where I was like, I'm just trying to enjoy this. Like, I'm gonna put some songs out. I have no expectations for anyone to like latch onto it or anything like that. And like, I don't even know like when I'm gonna play a show. Like, I
Because you
don't.
don't even have a band.
Yeah, I mean, I knew musicians slowly but surely. I got kind of like involved with different people and like met friends that would be like, oh, like I heard your songs. Like if you ever need someone to play guitar, like I'm down, or like something like that. Um, but it took a while for me to feel like the time was right. It really wasn't until I met one of my best friends, this guy, my friend Justice. We met, and he's from Arizona, but he'd been living in LA already for like maybe 5 or 6 years. And he was way more like involved in LA music than I was. And he was really instrumental in like helping me like get my first show booked. And like, he joined my band. He's not in it anymore, but we're still really tight friends. But he kind of was like my gateway in a lot of ways into like playing music for the first time there, I guess.
Where was that first show, and how did that feel? Having how much time has passed since you flew home from the van fight?
It was it was probably like 12, 13 months maybe.
Yeah.
And the first show was at the iconic The Smell in downtown LA, if you've heard of that place.
I don't know this place.
It's like a classic, like all ages spot in downtown LA. It smells just like its name says. It's like right off an alley.
Right.
It's one of those classic spots. But yeah, Justice had been playing in his own band in LA before I moved there, and I think like kind of through that, like had a connection to this venue, or like knew the owner, and then we kind of just put together our own bill with like a couple of friends bands, and like made it this like fun little thing. It wasn't like the biggest show by any means, but it was like a show, and it definitely was like very is very liberating, a very liberating experience to get to play like these songs that I recorded at home and like never played in front of like an audience before. It felt like a new.
It's a completely different experience from like nurturing songs to life with your brother while you're still in high school.
Yeah.
It's completely different. You demoed these songs or recorded these songs all yourself.
Yeah.
Were you a fucking Kaiser about people playing them like you recorded them, or were you like, let's have these live and breathe?
It's kind of 50-50 if that's an answer. Like I feel like I'm more of a stickler on drum parts. That's like really important to me. As long as the feel's right, like, and I mean that on every instrument. Like I'm okay with like embellishments on guitar or like whatever, as long as it still sounds like the song and it doesn't like take it somewhere too crazy.
Right, take it out of the vibe of
it.
Right.
Yeah, so I think I was pretty chill about it, but definitely was like a crazy experience because it was, I'm performing these songs with people I all had just met within the last like 6 months or so, versus like everything up until that point, it was like, oh, these are my either literal brothers or just friends that I grew up with and learned to do a lot of things with together,
Was there a similar feeling or a completely different feeling of listening back through the playback monitors for the first time and being in a room and performing the songs, like rehearsing for the first time and hearing the songs living?
I think it all just felt so fresh to me. I mean, I think a lot of that too was because I had so much time off from it. Like by the time we were like rehearsing for that first show, it had been about like a year since I'd really like played with a band. When I first moved to LA, I'm forgetting this until now, I did play a few shows as Furnsss, but it wasn't like with a band. I actually just put like backing tracks on a computer and just played guitar along with it. And that, while that was like a fun thing to do, that actually felt like nothing, as you can imagine, because it's so different not having like real, drums behind you and stuff.
What was I haven't heard Furnsss. What was that music like?
I think because it started at such a time in my life where I was still trying to like find my favorite type of music, it kind of like shape shifted as it went along.
Sure.
So it's kind of a broader thing. It's like all in, it was like guitar kind of based, like alternative rock, or like that's what it was like shooting for. But it definitely came more from a place of being inspired by like early Arctic Monkeys or like Modest Mouse's like more popular records, like maybe less researched or something, like whereas I feel like by the time I was like starting Millie, I feel like I had just become like this guy who's just constantly, going down the rabbit hole and trying to find the next thing that I've never heard of and like wow myself with new music or old music, whatever.
I gotta say, now, I mean, I don't mean to keep going back to how I'm old, but here I am. And so the music that you are making reminds me of the music that I was hearing and seeing in clubs when I moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
it reminds me of the 90s. And the 90s, when I talked to guys that were my age when I was that age, they were like, this reminds me when I would go see whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking Three Dog Night or whatever the fuck they were on.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, it makes me happy to hear. I think it's really good. It doesn't feel exactly. It feels somehow like Pearl Jam was a fresh take on whatever 70s rock.
Yeah.
This feels like a fresh take on 90s rock to me.
Thanks. Yeah, we get that a lot. I feel like I can't escape it at this point, like the 90s thing. But admittedly, that's where all my favorite music is from. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it's wrong, because that's totally right. And it's kind of a hot take, but I actually just think that the 90s had the best music. It's hard for me to fully commit to that considering the 60s and the 70s, but I think definitely coming from a place of what inspires the music I create, it definitely is most pulled from that era.
Yeah, it's funny how the drugs of the decades inspired the vibe. Like, there was mostly cocaine and weed in the 70s, though some people were on heroin. And the 80s was pretty much all cocaine all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of happy music.
Yeah.
A lot of up.
Yeah.
And then the 90s, oh boy, it gets pretty dark.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I do love that. You guys, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
I love Swerve Driver.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love Mescal Head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 99th Dream guy.
Okay.
And you guys went and toured with them on their first reunion tour, is that right?
I think it was their second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the early reunion tours.
Mm-hmm.
Were they on your radar before that?
Yeah, I was totally a fan. Yeah.
Got it.
That was one of those things that really we just kind of like lucked out, where the label that we signed with was doing like their new records. So, and they had a tour and we just got like put on it. But that was like
great.
Definitely an awesome moment, because for me, I was mostly into Mescal Head, but I liked the album before it, Raise, a decent amount too. And I can definitely say like they were one of many bands when I started Millie that was inspiring to me, because it was just like not music I would have been listening to and trying to, I guess, replicate when I was doing Furnsss at all. So yeah.
What other bands were you listening to
at the start of like Millie?
Yeah.
A big one that comes to mind is Yola Tango. That was a band for me that I feel like I was listening to for a while, but I think when I started Millie, that was definitely like, I don't know, I had these like sort of breakthrough moments where I would listen to records, and whether I knew them before or not, it would finally like dawn on me where I'm like, oh, I can like try to take a stab at like what they're doing. Like I don't have to stick to this formula that I was doing with my previous band. So that was a big one. And Red House Painters, that was like a massive band. It still is one of my favorite bands ever. Like, I think he's kind of a bad guy, I think, but his songwriting holds up.
I love his music.
Yeah.
I did walk out of a show that he played here in Seattle once because he was such a prick.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of people who would say the same thing.
I met him on the street once, and he was really nice. But on stage, I think he has a prick persona.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. But
so I'm a big Sun Kill Moon fan.
Me
also.
too. Yeah. Yeah, not to talk too much about him, but his guitar playing is so perfect and influential to me, and I feel like it's definitely there's some like lineage there that it comes from like Neil Young and then kind of trickled into his stuff, at least on some of those records. So definitely rubbed off on me in a big way.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are two bands that I probably wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
Really, but interesting.
I'm trying to think what else. It's always tough. I think another big one is Failure.
Oh.
That band, like, has it definitely rubbed off on me a lot, and they're like an all-time favorite.
One of the coolest bands of all time.
Definitely.
How long after that first show at Smelly's?
Yeah.
What's it called? The Smell?
Yeah.
Before, did that lineup perform more shows?
No,
that was a one-time thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a few of the people who were in that lineup stuck around, and then like a few didn't.
Right.
So, yeah.
How long before you got signed?
God, only like 6 months maybe or something like that after playing the first show.
LA's been working for you.
Yeah, it was really shocking. Honestly, I was like, damn, I've been trying to get this to happen for years with my other band, and then the second I stopped giving a fuck, it just happened.
Right.
So weird. But that goes to show you, if you put too much mental energy into something, and like it could almost like negatively
right. And tell me how that went.
Funny enough, I had only put out those 2 songs I was telling you about. That's all I had to show for. And we'd played one show, just the Smell show. And then our second show ever was in North Hollywood at this place called CIA, which is like this clown-themed bar. And whatever, we play the show, and then I get hit up like maybe a month later on Instagram, and it's this dude DMs me, and it's this guy, Jim Fairchild, who's like an A&R at the label we ended up signing with, Danger Bird. And but he was in Modest Mouse for like 10 years and has this band Granddaddy. Yeah.
Right.
So he hits me with a DM. He's like, kind of just like, hey dude, like, love your music. Like, would you ever want to like get together and like talk? Just something really simple. Like, we should like talk, whatever. And of course I immediately see all the like, like Danger Bird Records, like these bands, Modest Mouse and Granddaddy are both like big bands for me. So I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is going on? So anyway, it was really as like, well, he found us. Sorry, I'm skipping the part how he found us. He would go, at the time he was living in LA. He lives elsewhere now, but he was at his Trader Joe's, like his local Trader Joe's, and one of the dudes working there, I think he just was sort of friendly with, and I don't even know the guy's name, but shouts out to him for making this happen. He was playing that show, our second show, like his band was also on the bill, and I think that he had sent Jim, our A&R, like the flyer or something, or he had seen it somehow, but he just checked out all the bands that were on the flyer, and he checked us out and just really liked it. And then that's essentially how we got signed, because he saw our name on the bill and like checked the songs out and thought they were cool, and he hit me up to hang out, and he was just...
You don't really know Trader Joe guy.
Huh?
You didn't really know.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Right.
Nothing. I mean, I remember his band, but I don't think they're a band anymore.
You gotta keep that guy on the Christmas card list.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's great.
I know. So I'm drinking the Trader Joe's.
Right. Shout out to
Yeah.
TJ's.
But yeah, that's kind of it. Like Danger Bird was doing this thing at the time that um, funny enough, they were calling it the microdose series, where they would do like 2 singles for a band, kind of to test the waters. So
Sure.
we ended up doing 2 singles with them, and uh, they just, we got along well, and it was cool, and not a bad thing when the label you're on is 10 minutes away from your house. You could go hang out, and at the time it was really like you know there's a lot of people. It was pre-COVID. There's like a lot of people in office, like kind of before people would want to work from home, even after the pandemic thing. So like there's kind of this fun environment, like going over there and hanging out and stuff. So it was a really good time. But yeah, and then um, as I remember it, it was something to the effect of they wanted to sign us, and I was down. Everything had been pretty smooth up until that point, and they were offering this Swerve Driver tour, and I was like, let's do it. So within a year, less than a year since that first show at the Smell, we were touring the States, opening for Swerve Driver, which was like really, really surreal, honestly.
That's a pretty great story.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had that kind of good fortune. I've had some good fortune, but I didn't have that kind of a quick, like it. It's funny. It probably doesn't feel that quick to you because it's a story that starts 10 years before.
Yeah.
Right. But as an oral story, it's like it seems pretty quick.
Yeah.
The second part of the story is a lot quicker than the first
part.
I think that's probably not uncommon, though. You had already learned a bunch of lessons.
Yeah.
What do you guys have coming?
Right now we're kind of trying to reinvent ourselves a bit, honestly. Like we're finishing out this tour with Militarie Gun, and it wraps up in Colorado, and then there was another thing of sort of this like what do you call it, like right place, right time, or whatever, where it's this festival called Best Friends Forever Festival.
Oh yeah.
Which I think I saw you were talking to the guy from Minus the Bear.
Yeah.
And they're playing it too, which is really cool. But yeah, this tour ends like in a week or so, and then we have like a few days off. Then we're gonna play that in Vegas, which I'm really excited about, because talk about bands from the 90s and the 2000s that have influenced us. It's like most of the bands on that bill are like favorites of ours or mine or whatever. So it's kind of a big deal to us to get to play it.
Will you be making another record?
Definitely at some point. We just put a new single out like 3 days ago, or like on Friday. We put a new song out.
It's called She?
Yeah. Which I'm stoked on. As the songwriter, you always think like the latest thing you're doing is so different than everything else. So I like to think that, but it doesn't sound totally like out of place in like our catalog or anything like that. But it definitely feels like, what do you call it? Like a step in like a new direction or something. Yeah.
Do you find that, because you're the band leader, you are Millie, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that you're ever cheerleading people on to new material? Like people get sort of married to one sort of style, maybe, and if you ever feel like you're bringing in a new song and you're having to convince people that no, this is great, or are you still recording full demos and then giving them to them?
Yeah, it's like with this song, I demoed everything out without drums, like just because it revolves around this bass line. So I did the bass line. I recorded bass first and then put acoustic over it and sang on it, and then we like fleshed it out more as a band. But no, I mean, however collaborative it might be now, I do think like fortunately there's a level of trust that they have in me because I kind of started the band or like have always been the primary songwriter, but also like I I know what they like, so I feel like it kind of is like both of those things at
Right.
one time, like working, I guess. Yeah.
After Best Friends, what do? You go home?
Yeah, we're gonna uh, kind of chip away at making new material, just the classic thing. And we're doing 2 shows in December, opening for this band called Bear versus Shark,
Oh yeah.
which I truthfully had never heard of, but they're they're cool, and I think they're doing like some sort of like an anniversary record. So we're just doing 2 shows with them, one in San Francisco and one in LA, and just trying to wrap up the year nice with a bow on top of it. And yeah, hopefully record a new record next year, once we have everything together. But yeah, it's kind of like become a thing where our catalog up until now, I feel like, has generally remained consistent in terms of like, you know, this songwriting formula of like quiet verses and then loud choruses and guitar solos and like, all the good stuff, everything that I like. But I feel like we're all itching to like experiment a bit more, which, sometimes that really can backfire and like ruin a band. But I'm going to be 30 next year, and I honestly had this like inner conversation with myself where I was like, I have to try to make the weird record, and if it fails, whatever, at least I tried instead of living in fear and doing like the same thing.
It worked for Radiohead.
Yeah, it definitely
It
did.
worked for Flame. I mean, it's continuously worked for Flaming Lips.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Let me ask you this, and I ask you this only because it's good to have a document of something that if we're both still alive in 10 years, we can look back at this.
Yeah.
Where do you think you'll be in 10 years, or where would you like to be?
It's a great question. Um, you know, I I know I'll be doing music in some form, whether it's Millie or something else. I'm really not sure, but I've always kind of kept the energy there that if somebody wanted to, snatch me up to be their guitar player or their
Right.
bass player, like I'm open to it. I think music, if anything I've learned in the last couple of years with music, it's just that like, you know, success isn't, you can't measure your success, and it's not linear, maybe like it used to be. And I think music should be overall like a fluid thing where you should be open to new shit and new experiences. So I just want to continue on like my path as like an individual, and maybe Millie's making records then and we're doing really fucking good, and I'm open to that as much as I'm open to doing something completely different.
Maybe your avatars are projecting all over the globe.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
performing projections everywhere.
Exactly. Or what's that place in Las Vegas that people play shows at?
Oh, the globe thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're headlining there.
Exactly. Yeah. Who knows?
It's a pretty weird time for music, I think.
Yeah.
And it has been for 25 years, but it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
Um,
there's almost too much, in my opinion.
It's fine. I think that there's a lot of music, I don't think is a restrictive to good music.
That's true.
I think it's static, but
yeah,
people with the right antennas pick up the right frequencies.
Yeah. I try to hold on to that sort of thought, but I don't know. Sometimes it's rough. There's definitely some bad music out there that's also
There's a lot of shit
doing
music.
well. Yeah, but it's been that way forever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's unavoidable.
Since the 50s.
Yeah.
Fucking Pat Boone. Like, what the fuck with that?
I don't even know if I know what that is.
Really?
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor.
I'll throw some on, yeah.
Yeah. Pat Boone. He's just like, he was the industry's answer to rock and roll.
Okay.
So he would sing like the dangerous songs, but he was like clean cut.
Oh, I think I did see something about this in like like I was telling you, I've been on like a Beatles kick, and I think I was seeing something about
probably
him.
sang the Beatles songs. Yeah, but his hair didn't go over his ears or whatever.
Right.
You know, so he was like safe.
Yeah.
And he wore a suit, and he was like,
so crazy.
Probably he was God-fearing, and he was like, God damn it, he was American.
Yeah.
He made a metal record in the 90s. Like where he
I would love to check that out.
It's absolute shit. It's so crazy. It's almost great in its shitness.
Yeah.
Absolute shitness.
I think that'll get the band stoked. I'll put it on in there without telling them and just see how they react to it.
That might have been one of his last records. I don't know if he did one in response to the 90s or not. But that would be interesting. And also, what would it have been?
Maybe some like Limp Bizkit or
probably not. Probably way too blue for this fella.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure, way too blue. Well, I hope you guys have a great show tonight.
Thanks.
I really enjoy your music.
Thanks.
Keep listening. I hope that you will let me know whenever you're playing in the area.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it tonight.
You don't want to go to the hardcore show?
I mean, is it Black Flag?
No.
No.
We'll be back. We'll play at what? Do you like any venues out here?
I like all the venues, all the great venues.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Don has connections everywhere too. I want to thank your friend in mine, Don.
Yeah.
Robertson.
Shouts out Don. Us. That's my guy.
What a guy.
Robertson.
Yeah. The doctor. Dr. Robertson. I wish you the best of luck. I hope may the intolerant energies that try to pull you away from music never succeed.
They shall not.
Music's good for you.
Yeah, surely. Thanks for having me.